All right, we are live. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back to another panel of the SPFBO9 authors, which is SPFBO affectionately. That's the self published fantasy blog off that's organized by Mark Lawrence every year with 300 books split among 10 separate blogs. And today I'm here with two guests representing the Covers with Cassidy blog or vlog, I guess, since a lot of it is here on YouTube. And I've got the link to Covers with Cassidy in the description, but we're here to talk about the authors tonight. So we've got Wenda, we got Mary. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell us just a little bit about what kind of fantasy you write.
Okay, I can go first. So Master of the Void is my debut novel, actually. Writing is something that has been a part of my life since I was small. You know, as a child, I would just write funny stories and things, but I was often steered away from creative writing as a profession because it's notoriously hard to make a living writing fiction, you know. So I've spent most of my writing career writing under several pen names for magazines and such. Um, but I finally had that moment, and I know many of you authors talk about the same kind of moment that you come to where you realize there's never going to be a right time to write your book. If I kept seeing it as something I did as like a hobby or a self-indulgence, then it was just never going to happen.
Mm.
Um, so I had to kind of go through the process of valuing my own work and valuing the story that I had to tell. And so Master of the Void is was just a process of self-discovery and growth as an author for me. And so as far as what kind of book it is, it's a coming of age epic fantasy. It does have multiple POVs, and it's really just sort of been a passion project for me. As it took me about five years to write this book. But I promise the sequel is not going to take 5 years now that I'm in the right place. Um,
You're in the groove now.
yes, I'm in the group. Do you want me to kind of tell you the story behind that, or you want me to wait until later?
We'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
So hang on for people who are now hooked and like, wait, come back. Gotta keep watching. Mary, it's so good to meet you in person outside of Discord.
Yeah. So for people who don't know me, I'm Mary McKenna. Um, I'm a dabbler, really, when it comes to what I write. Um, my first book, the SPFBO book, is my debut novel. It is extremely historical fantasy. I will tell you that I can cite factual information for 90% of the facts in this book.
Oh, thank you, Marissa. So, what type of historical, though, just to clarify?
This is it's a secondary world, but it's based on kind of the early War of the Roses period.
Oh, nice.
And I researched fabrics and food, and like it's all in there nicely, not info dumped, but it's all in there.
I love that clarification. We're all like, ooh,
it's important. It's important to stress it's not info dumped. I do know better than that. But my other published stuff is short stories, and it varies. I've got an urban fantasy and an anthology that came out in the fall. After I finish the book I'm on, that I have to write a book for that series. I do the light, whimsical stuff, messing with I have 6 Christmas short stories out because I like writing fantasy Christmas stories, and they're lighthearted, silly stuff.
Yeah.
So I dabble, whatever.
That's awesome. So I've been forgetting to say this early enough. So people who I know can't stay on the whole time, if you want to read the entire book, both of the books that are in the SPFBO contest, the links are in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, you'll have to either hop over to YouTube to grab them or go to the Twitter accounts for the authors to grab them. And also the authors' social accounts are linked here in the description too. But we're going to go back to what Wind was starting on with what the story is about.
Okay. So the idea for Master of the Void came as sort of a reaction to rereading the Harry Potter books in my adult years. Hear me out. So nothing against Harry Potter or the series. I think that, you know, that's something the Harry Potter books kind of hold a warm place in a lot of early fantasy readers' hearts. But as a Slytherin myself, I started getting a little bit frustrated with the idea that people could be labeled as either good or evil based on a hat or your family or things like that. And kind of the idea that villains don't have a say in whether they're a villain or whether the way of their life kind of, okay, that's just because of how their life is, they have to be a villain now. And it sort of sat wrong with me, and I just kind of got to thinking about it, and I really wanted to write a story about choices and how each one of us has the choice of how we respond to both the good things and the bad things that happen in our lives. And so, in that sense, that's what those reactions and those choices are what sets us up as heroes or villains or things like that. So you'll see the characters in my book. There's two main characters, but a lot of fun side characters. They're going to go through some kind of parallel trials, and each one of them handles their troubles differently with different outcomes and consequences to that, and kind of all weaves their stories together. But as far as it's about is about two young people who are just about to come into their magic. So they're at the age where they're about to receive their magic. My magic-based system is based on the stars. It's a gift from the stars. And everyone in my world has magic. So, it's not a special thing that they have magic. It's something that they have come to believe is their right. It's something they're going to receive. And so both of these characters go through some really hard times when they find out that they don't have magic. So it's kind of a reverse. I don't want to spoil. If I say much more, it's going to spoil a lot of the plot. But it's a coming of age in that sense. So
Love that. And Mary, you're in with your debut too.
Yes. And it's also a coming of age story, but a very different kind of one. It grew out of a conversation with another author friend of mine about what was it like to be a young woman in the Middle Ages when you are sent away from home and you are 10, 11, 12, and you're sent off somewhere else. What's it really like? So the main character in my book is 13 years old, and she is sent off to live with the man she's going to marry. And he's 26, and she's in a very foreign place, and she has to figure out, how to grow up in this. And it's also maybe partially motivated by the fact that I hate the character of Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones. And I hate the fact that people go, well, if she's a girl of her time, she's passive, she can't do anything. It's not true. Women had a lot more power than pop culture lets us know. And so, we go into, well, who's really running things? It's not always the men. And I explore a lot of that.
That's really interesting, especially I've heard a lot of authors debating whether you should wipe the age of the characters and leave it vague when you're writing historical fiction these days, because obviously there's so much regimented gatekeeping about having a 13 or 14-year-old girl marry a grown man would have been historical. So those are decisions that I don't envy you, but
I never thought of it because I wasn't on Twitter at the time, and I did not realize quite how much of an issue some people would have with this. And I'll defend the choices I make as historical, but I'm also going to be upfront about the fact that, yes, she's 13 when the book starts. She's 15, almost 16 when it ends. And just for everybody's comfort, they still haven't had sex. Okay, she's almost 16. They still haven't had sex. I do not approve of sex with small girls, and I wasn't going to put that in my book. So it's a legal marriage, but it isn't.
Yeah. We've got Marissa. I'm not going to lie, though. Sometimes writing in spite of is so satisfying. Yes. And I've entered my debut this year too, but I'm not in Covers with Cassidy. I'm in the Fantasy Book Critics. And mine is a different kind of coming of age, maybe. She's already queen. She became queen young. She's in her early 20s in the book, but she has to grow up at the same time because her world hasn't had any evil at all. And so she's in this world where all the evil was banished to a different dimension, and then all of a sudden the sorceress who was banished is coming back and bringing all the evil with her.
Wow.
And I was like, a person raised in that kind of world probably wouldn't have all the maturity of somebody who was, I don't know. That's sort of what I wanted to explore a little bit in the book, I guess. But yeah, so I love that it's like debut, coming of age, coming of age, coming of age.
Absolutely.
Yes. So SPFBO, since we're all entering our debuts, I'm guessing that this is your first year's doing it too.
Mhm.
So how did you find it? What have you thought so far? It just officially started yesterday, but signups were in May for those who are new.
I kept seeing this acronym. I'm a huge fan of Susanna Rowntree, who was a SPFBO finalist in 6 or 7, I can't remember. But I kept seeing the acronym. And then, I don't know, last year I think I sort of went, well, what does this all mean? What is this stupid acronym that everybody keeps talking about? But I really didn't intend on entering. Like, I was really like, I filled it all out, and I'm sitting there, and my kids are eating breakfast, and I'm trying to get them out the door, and I'm like, I'm not going to hit enter. This is dumb. I'm not.
Oh,
like,
no.
And I dropped them off at the bus. I came back, and I went, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I hit enter. And I think I'm about number 270 because I think about 5 minutes before I hit enter, Mark had posted that 250 slots had already been taken up. And this was 8:21 in the morning or something.
Wow. So you weren't one of the people, we've had people on who were like, I was trying to submit it as I was driving to work, and we were all like,
no.
over.
Whoever that was with the commute and waiting until he got there, I was like, oh, wow.
Yes. How about you, Wen? How did you find SPFBO?
So my husband actually introduced it to me last year, and we followed the competition pretty closely. We like to keep up with a lot of the YouTubers and the vloggers who are the judges already. And it just looked like a lot of fun. It looked like a really neat way to kind of break into the indie community and make connections and kind of get eyes on the book and also learn about others who are doing the same sort of thing and putting themselves out there. And so I kind of went back and forth about whether I should enter because, you know, like I said, learning to value my work. But it worked out perfect timing because Master of the Void came out March 14th. And so I was really just right on time to kind of get the ball rolling. And I thought, well, why not? We'll give it a shot. And so yeah, I was one of those who like had everything on a document and was sitting there in front of my computer, just kind of biting my nails 10 minutes beforehand. It was 2 a.m. here when I had to. So yeah, I was not super awake, but I was hoping that I didn't make any typos and, you know, the adrenaline was going. So yeah, I went for it, and I'm super glad that I did because, you know, no matter what comes from the contest, it has just been amazing to just connect with other indie authors in a community that I just didn't really know existed until the last year or so, other than I knew the books existed, but I didn't know it was such a tight-knit community. So it's been great becoming a part of that.
Yes. And I think if you're watching and you've followed some of the other panels, like I know AF is on. Hi, AF. I've seen your name on other panels. You might be noticing a trend, and no, none of these have been scripted, and have not asked anybody to say what Wind just said about how even if you don't place, the community has made it worth it. But it's like every single panel, it seems like someone says that or shares that sentiment. And that's how I feel too, is joining this competition has been unlike any other writing related competition I've ever done. It's become, here's your found family. Enjoy.
Everyone is just really kind and supportive of each other, which I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's June 2nd, and we still have people saying that. So, yeah.
We're still
haven't started
busy
cutting any throats yet.
We're still busy torturing our own selves. If any of you have been following, like Stephen Hanna's first chapter culling thread, and now there's 2 other people doing them, and yeah, we can torture ourselves. We don't need to wait for the judges.
It's scary.
Steven's actually coming on with me Monday. I haven't announced this yet, so that people watching are the first to hear, to talk about what makes a great first chapter in the indie author behind the scenes list. And I'm very curious because I've been so intrigued. I'm like, I don't know which of these was my cut. I know mine didn't make the pass, probably, but I'm like, which one was it?
He did tell me which one was mine because a couple of us had been kind of filling his comments up for a couple of days, and he did promise. So mine did not make the cut either, but he did tell me when I didn't make the cut.
If you're watching this, Stephen, I don't want to know. I'll just leave it a mystery for others to figure out. But no, it's really been a lot of fun. Even that, there's been a sense of camaraderie in it. It's not
Yeah.
mean spirited or anything like that. It's just been really good fun.
Yeah, we've all been having a good time. Now it's who's doing it now? Mike Roberti just started his, and EL Lyons, I think, is doing one, and it's the same thing. We're making bad jokes in their comments and
Yes.
angsting
Yes.
publicly and stuff. It's weird fun.
We get 5 months to angst and lurk and all of that. I'm gonna be honest, it's the middle of the editing busy season, so I have not been able to be on Twitter since the 30th. I think, really. I might have posted one or two small things really fast, but that's been like it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what all I have missed when I get back on.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to
any...
turn my light on because the
yeah.
sun's going down. So give me 1 second.
Okay. Sun setting on our book talk.
Oh, I don't know if anyone is where I'm at, where I'm vacillating between wanting to obsessively check everything and also just kind of wanting to crawl in a hole and come out in 5 months and see what happens, so I don't have to worry about it.
Somebody coined the phrase, what was it? I want to say, I just said it yesterday too. Productive lurking. That's what it was. Like, I'm writing and editing, but I'm also lurking. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I had to set myself a writing challenge for June, like a mini NaNoWriMo, so that I can kind of get my mind off of everything and also make progress on my next book. So it's a win-win.
Yes. I did not plan, obviously, for the editing busy season to start right when SPFBO did, but I'm like, thank you. I'll be reading other people's books all month long. So every panel, I've been asking a for fun question about books. I've been asking things like, who's your main character? What's at stake? And your villain? And we're going to do sort of a twist on the villain question tonight that I have not done with another panel, which is, what is your villain's biggest ordinary fear? We're not talking big story stakes like, I fear that I'll be overthrown and die, because that's like every villain's fear. But like, what's their ordinary fear? Do we have fear of cats or spiders or dark anywhere? And if it's not in your book, that's fine. It'd be sort of like a bonus.
Well, Mary, we want to take this one first? I need a minute. Okay.
Okay, well, I'll give you a minute and I'll just talk.
Okay.
This is a tricky question because I don't actually have a true villain in my story. I have a couple of kind of minor antagonists who, by their actions, create a storm, but there's no actual villain. And so it's a hard question to answer because I don't have one.
So we'll go with the antagonist. What are they afraid of, Mary?
Okay. My two mini antagonists. Okay, the one, his probably biggest ordinary kind of fear is probably having his books taken away. I mean, genuinely.
I feel you, Mr. Antagonist.
That would probably be the thing he fears the most of the ordinary things, not the supervillain things.
I feel like I would quickly become a supervillain if people came and took my books away. So
I probably would too. That would be an interesting origin story for a villain.
Write
It
that one
started
down.
with the burning of so-and-so's library. There's the first line of somebody's book. You're welcome.
My husband likes to tease me about it. I may be dating myself, but if you've ever seen the movie Patriot Games, the Tom Clancy one, there's the bookseller and he's going, but what about me books? What about me books? And my husband likes to tease me about that. You can see them. They're in the background.
So for me, it's also a very tricky question because the villain in my story is very shadowed. so to speak. That's part of the mystery. It's part of the unveiling. So if I say too much about the villain, it's going to give literally everything away. But my villain's probably biggest ordinary fear is they're not a fan of heights, and they're also very self-conscious about people finding out that they're not tall themselves. There's a lot of kind of some cloaking that goes on, and so this villain is very self-conscious about people thinking that they're short. It doesn't come out a lot. And so the thing about my villain is, and it's sort of an abstract fear, is about people finding out who they really are. So they're afraid to be seen. So, but again, I can't, I there's more I could say, but it's going to give stuff away and I can't do it. So.
Yes, I love that. I think mine is sort of dawned on me today, and that's sort of what spun me in this direction, was realizing that her biggest fear is actually, like, you know how some people are afraid of the dark? She's afraid of light.
Oh.
Not like for ordinary fears, sort of for shallow reasons. She's worried about her hair not coming out the right color of purple and a couple other small things. But yeah, it's like she tries to avoid going out in the broad daylight as much as possible. And when she does, she's like, oh, all decked out in the big long arm protector sleeves and like the hats and stuff.
Wow.
It's sort of what I was thinking of as I was writing her. I'm writing a backstory for her for a secret project, and I was like, she's afraid of being in the sunshine. She's also a little vain, but that's okay. She's a villain.
It's a good villain trait too.
Our villains can have their vices. They've all got a little bit of vanity.
That's so true. I love a good main character that starts out with vices too, though. I'm not gonna lie, especially if they're like, I'm super arrogant and I know everything, and then at the end they're like, okay, now I probably really do know everything, but I'm mature enough to not say so because I don't want anybody to make me prove it.
Well, good. I'm glad you like main characters with vices, because my main character is an absolute grump. So.
And then Mary, yours is 13, and I'm sure going through that awkward teen phase.
She at one point stamps her foot in front of everybody in the castle and stomps off. She behaves like a teenage girl at times.
Goodness.
And I've been told that's, yeah, pretty much like how everybody remembers teenage girls.
So for the next 5 months, we've alluded to lurking. We've alerted to productive lurking. Seriously, though, what's coming on in your writing world? Are you writing new books, editing, publishing anything? What's the news that people should watch for?
I'm working on the sequel to this one. Not as fast as I'd like. And it's going to get slower once my children are out of school. But I'm working on it.
Yay!
And I have to hurry up and get it done because I have to write this urban fantasy, and I'm supposed to kind of have that done in like September, maybe October. So I kind of have to finish 2 books in the next 5 months.
You got this. You got this.
I'm not one of those fast indies who's like, yeah, I did 6,000 words today. No, that's not me.
I am, but I don't write every day. Like, we were a couple panels back where almost everybody in the panel was like, I write 30 minutes a day, or I write 15 minutes a day, or I write an hour a day. And I'm like, my hat goes off to you. My life is too chaotic. So usually there's like 2 or 3 months total in a year where all my writing gets done. And if it doesn't get done, it's probably not going to get done. And then the rest of the year is like editing or revising or working on publishing or dreaming of what I should be writing, but not actually writing. Yeah. How about you, Wind? What's coming up in the next 5 months?
Same thing, working on the sequel, Creature of the Void. I can't promise an end date yet, but I'm setting myself a goal to really write a large chunk of that during the summer. And then, we'll go into the rest of the publishing process with that. And I'm kind of the same way. I'm not a very super structured writer. I wish I was. I'm trying to build those habits. I tend to kind of go in spurts. I might have a day where I just write all day long and have this giant word count. And then I'll have a day where it's just crickets and I can't focus, and I have to wait until kind of the muse hits. So I set goals, and it may not be, like you said, 6,000 words every day or something like that. I applaud people who could do that.
Oh, yeah.
But kind of looking for those moments of deep focus and writing some quality stuff.
Yeah. I guess the best thing is there's no wrong way to write as long as you're writing.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, getting it out. And there is some amazing competition this year. And I love your blog. There is a very well-rounded blog. Have you guys been following any of Cassidy's blogs so far or thoughts so far?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I might have stalked the 2 people who are reading my book. It's possible. I'm not saying I did this, but it's possible that I went and checked out their vlogs and, watched their games for how they pick. Yeah, it's possible I did that yesterday. Maybe.
I love the spinning wheel. That's like really creative.
One does it with Kerplunk, the stick game with the marbles, and yeah. But I'm not saying I watched it. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not stalking them.
So if you're watching and you do want to know all the books, and I should have had this link already up here. I have the link to Mark Lawrence's blog, which keeps up with all the details, and you should definitely go give this a follow because Mark does this for free. And that's a huge gift, really, to the indie community because it's a lot of time and effort. This year, unfortunately, a tad of drama there for just a few days. But Zach Argyle has also created a beautiful list that you can filter by KU Books or by Audible audio books. I don't think it's exclusive to Audible. And just see everything that's in. And you can follow Covers with Cassidy to see how Wind and Mary's books fare by following the YouTube link that I put in the description. I'm super excited. I wish everybody the best of luck. Really, it's going to be a great year.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on that note, I wanted to say that I really love the way that Cassidy set it up to where each of our books is getting read by 2 people. I think that's fantastic. And I just want to say that really made me excited that at least 2 people are going to have eyes on it. And I think that was a really great idea to give kind of a well-rounded approach to the judging. So
I agree.
That. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kudos, Cassidy, if you ever watched it.
Thank you, Cassidy.
We appreciate it.
Yes, and really to all the bloggers, thank you for the time and the effort and the thoughts that you put into everything that you do. So thank you both so much for joining. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for having us.
I'm going to try at the end of June to do the big summer blitz for people who are new to my channel. That's where I, for some reason, take 3 straight days and all day long do panel interviews and live reads from indie authors. So this year looks like it's going to be the biggest year we've ever had for the summer blitz authors. So I think we're up to like 20 or 30 in that range.
Wow.
Coming on. So yeah, subscribe to the channel for that, and there will be more panels tomorrow for SPFBO. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.